And we are live. What's up, everyone? This is your host, Camden McInnes, and today I have another very special guest. He's known as the bad boy of the dating game. He has been featured on the Dish Network, ABC, the Tyra Banks Show, and even the Anderson Cooper Show, which is pretty cool. Mr. Locario, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on? How are you, man? I'm glad you have me on here, man. I appreciate it.
Pretty good, brother. It's actually very interesting. I've always watched the Tyra Banks Show. I used to watch it all the time with my girlfriend, and now that I
Yeah.
think about it, I might actually remember the episode that you might have been featured on. I was probably about
Right.
like 18 at the time. And I just and I just kind of just wanted to ask you about your background a bit. How did you get into the dating game, and were you always good with women, like back in high school in the earlier years of your life?
No, actually, that's the thing that made me want to start, teaching guys. Because back in the days, it was like I didn't know what I was doing. I was always scared to talk to girls. I would get upset when I got rejected. I would like I get with a girl and then she wouldn't want to see me anymore. Then I feel all bad and start crying and all that craziness. So I kind of went through a lot of the stuff that most guys go through. So, I wanted to be able to like let guys know, like, hey, look, this is how the game goes, so that when if you're going through it now, you know what to do and you know what to make, how to make things happen. You know what I mean?
So basically, when you started off, you're kind of like draking it a bit. You're
Right,
like,
exactly. Exactly. And I
yeah.
think most guys do that. So, because it's not a lot of things you hear out there to help you know what to do. So that's the thing.
Yeah, that's a very true. I know even me, because especially me, I grew up with a single mother, and she was, trying to, she's just trying to do her best with trying to teach me to be nice, and
Mhm.
basically trying to groom me not to be like my dad, who is like a like mega pimp, and
Right.
eventually
Exactly.
it kind of didn't work out that way.
Right.
So I was introduced into this whole world through Robert Greene's book, and I did some research, and I found the whole like the whole PUA community. And at
Mhm.
first, I thought it was kind of strange, but I saw some value in it. How did you actually get into this community, and it kind of turn you into a teacher? Did you end up taking the more traditional route as you started reading books like The Game, or was it just something kind of just by chance?
Well, a lot of it was like I wasn't necessarily um like reading too much into like the PUA stuff. It was more so like um, you know, learning from people in my environment that I would see do certain things and they would sort of teach me certain things. So they would literally tell me certain things. And then I also would fall back and look at how they would, interact with women. So then I learned through looking at other people. But also when it came to books, I think the first book that I read was the Art of Macking by Tariq Nasheed. So that was the first thing. And then like I skimmed through like what's the mystery method joint, and I never really read The Game. So it's not so. And the thing is with me, I don't consider myself a pickup artist. You understand what I'm saying? It's like I can teach a guy how to pick up girls, but overall I would say like I'm a dating coach, because a pickup artist more so will teach guys just more about picking up chicks and having sex with them. You know what I'm saying? Like I teach
Hmm.
the more like everything. I teach that, but also like how to, if you want to keep girls around, if you want to keep things going and all that other stuff. So it's like kind of like everything encompassed into what I'm teaching a lot of guys out there. You know what I mean?
So you'd say you're more rounded. Would you say that you kind of avoid a lot of the things like the canned openers and the routines and kind of tricks? Like I know from back in the day, like a lot of the guys would like do these strange things, like they'd bring prop bags and stuff like that and kind of run like the whole same. It's kind of like a whole magic trick, like a kind of stage act. Would you say you kind of avoid things like that and kind of teach guys just to more be themselves?
Yeah, pretty much. Because the thing is with this, with like um, that type of thought process, a lot of times with like that type of thing with all the routines and all the other stuff, what it does essentially when you step back and look at it is that it sort of puts the woman on a pedestal in a certain way, because it's like, well, it's like saying, well, I'm doing all this extra stuff in order to get a girl. You understand what I'm saying? In
Thank you.
order to get her to like
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean? So I don't look at it as like like that. I mean, and there's a lot of stuff that certain pickup artists will talk about that's valuable. But what it is with the pickup artist thing, a lot of it also too has to do with breaking down what you might see a guy who's naturally good at women or a guy who's practiced being good at women. And so they're just breaking it down to its sort of like simplest form so that, you know, certain guys can digest it. You understand what I'm saying? So a
Mm-hmm.
guy who's never approached a girl, he might want to lean on the crutch of, you know, a canned opener or something like that. But the thing is, as you get more well versed in the game, it's that you don't want to necessarily do those things or lean on it because it's not really coming from that authentic place, which is, you know, you understand? So you have to understand how to get yourself to that thing. So I look at some of those tactics more of like as like training wheels. You understand? So then after if you get a hang of it, then you take the trainer's wheels off, and then you got to, you know, really do your thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense for especially the beginners, the guys that aren't really comfortable getting out there and approaching women. And I really
Right.
like what you said about how like a lot of that stuff, and I always thought of it this way, which is why I only dabbled in the whole pickup artist world.
Mm.
But I still like talk to a lot of guys in the community and stuff like that. But just like a lot of them are just kind of like they're like a tiger at a circus, kind of just jumping through hoops and
Right.
hoops.
Right.
Like
Right.
ridiculous, man. Like you don't have to do all this stuff, and you can kind of just move on to somebody else. If like you know, like this whole thing. Like I understand the whole idea of a shit test and stuff like that,
Mm.
but there'll be these dudes that'll just keep going and going and going, trying to win this woman's approval that clearly isn't having it. She just wants nothing to do with them, and they'll just
Right.
think
Right.
think it's just a shit test.
And that's the part about the whole situation with the whole, like, a lot of pickup artists, they have this thing where they're, when you even think about it, when you say pickup artist, now what it means is that now I have to pick her up. You understand? Because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, that's the whole
Hmm.
thing of my situation. So if I don't pick her up, am I a pickup artist? You see what I mean? And that goes with the ego, and that goes to how they view themselves. So it's more about them sort of, you know, keeping up with that image versus the actual point of it, which is to try to, you know, attract women. You understand what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
it's like guys got to sort of get away from the labels and what all that means, and focus more on what they can do to improve themselves in order to get the things that they want. You understand? So it's that type of thing.
So basically, just be a normal fucking human being.
Right, right. Pretty much.
All right. So, what were some of the challenges and weaknesses you had to overcome in order to get good at, you know, attracting women? We'll try to use that word more than
Right,
picking up.
right. Well, you know, um, one of the challenges is sort of just like getting over yourself, meaning getting over your insecurities, getting over your ego, getting over, like, you know, thinking that you need to be a certain way or do a certain, you know, or like express yourself in a certain way in order to get women. So a lot of it comes from you falling back and saying, okay, you know, I'm good enough to make stuff happen. All I need to do is really focus on trying to make it happen and learning certain things to improve myself. And then that is the thing that, you know, really gets you what you want. So it's more so just, you know, understanding that a lot of times you just get in your own way of what you're trying to do. So a lot of things you would get accomplished more if you get out of your own way. You know what I mean? And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do, because they're so concerned with how they look to other people. They're so concerned with what the girl's gonna think about them when they approach them. They're concerned with, you know, is this girl gonna like me? Is she not gonna like me? Is she gonna reject me? Is she gonna do this? Like, they're so concerned with all these different things instead of just focusing on bettering themselves and, you know, making it happen. You know what I mean?
Are there any areas that you would still feel that you're kind of weak and that you would like to improve, or would you say that you kind of mastered it to the point that you're really comfortable and you don't really need to uh, get much better?
No, I think what one of my big weaknesses, I would say, is I don't have any patience. You know what I mean? Like, in general, meaning like I feel like a lot of times, like, let's say for example, if I'm talking to a girl and and it's like I'm having a conversation with her, and let's say she's just like sort of being a little bit annoying, like, a lot of times I'll just eject from that conversation. You understand? But if I had more patience, you know what I mean? Like, I could actually, you know, make something happen. But I'm more so like, okay, she's annoying me, I'm gonna go to the next girl, which in itself is a good thing in certain, you know, cases. But also, it's also good to have that balance where you still have patience enough to sort of not just next the chick immediately, because I just next girls so quick, it's like ridiculous. You understand? Like if she's just like, if I just feel that little feeling of, oh, this girl is getting on my nerves, I'm kind of like done. You know what I mean? So that I need to be a little bit more patient when I'm dealing with certain women. You know what I mean? So
So kind of finding that balance where
right.
uh, you can just kind of deal with a woman who's just, trying to play hard to get a bit.
Right,
And,
right. Yeah,
and,
because
and
sometimes it's just her, she's just trying to be cute. And sometimes I'm not in the mood for her trying to be cute. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta, I gotta be chill a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I definitely hear you on that. I've always kind of had a problem with that. I always try to avoid it, especially consciously. I'm always trying to avoid the whole jumping through the hoops thing. So I've
Right,
always had that problem. And my
right,
friends were always like, "Yo, what's wrong with you? She likes you. She's just kind of giving you a
right,
hard time to flirt a bit." Um,
right.
and so there's a lot of talk within this whole circle. I know that you differentiate yourself from the PUA. You kind of made that clear. Um, but I've spoken to other guys in this area, and a lot of them kind of tend to come down to two type of styles,
Mhm.
either indirect or direct. Do you have your own personal type of style, and do you think indirect or direct is better than like which one is better than the other?
Well, the thing is, well, one, I don't think any one is better than the other one. I think they're both useful in different situations, or or also depending on how you're feeling in the moment when you're trying to do it. So for example, like I personally like to go direct most of the time, like
So do I.
I'm saying, just to like, I just like to get it out the way, because again, my patience is is not that great or whatever. So I usually like to go up to a chick and let her know how I'm feeling, or let her know what I want to do, and then either she's gonna be down or she's not gonna be down. But indirect is good also, because what happens is with indirect, and I try to explain this to a lot of guys, is that one, it gives you that sort of like barrier, or that wall, to sort of separate yourself from the interaction. So if you're one of those guys who are so nervous or still scared about getting rejected, being indirect can help you with that, because you're sort of talking to her, but you're not really proposing anything yet. You're just having a conversation just to see how she's going to respond to you. And also you get to see how this girl is and how she reacts to you just having a conversation, or even approaching and talking to her and saying anything. So it works in those ways, so that you can sort of like test her and see how she sort of is. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. I would say that a lot of times when guys get a little bit more comfortable dealing with women, I think they go more. I see more guys go direct when they get a little bit more comfortable. But I would say that each one has its place and its situation where it can work. It can benefit anybody, because I still do indirect, but I do direct more. But I'll interchange it, here and there, depending on the situation. You know what I mean? Hello, hello.
Oh, sorry. Hello.
Okay. Yeah, you
Sorry,
go.
I had my mic on mute. Yeah. What would you say would be the most ideal environment? Because I know for me, at certain times, like if I'm in a complete rush, I'll go um, uh, direct.
Right.
But you also have a certain area. I believe it's your book, the magnificent 10 ways to.
Magnificent 10 Crucial Dating Tips for Men. Yeah, that one.
Yes. And you have a section in your book where you talk about dating a coworker.
Oh,
What would you kind of?
that's actually in How to Have Sex with Two Women a Day book, where I talk about dating a coworker. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what would you? So would you recommend kind of just going up to the girl and saying, "Hey, I'd like to date you," that they kind of work with, or would you like what would you kind of recommend in that situation?
No, see, the thing is, in because in my book, How to Have Sex with Two Women a Day, I have a chapter talking about how to deal with, if you're trying to mess with your coworker. And the thing is, I don't necessarily condone it in most cases. I'm just basically showing the guys how to do it correctly if you want to, right? So so that's the thing, because a lot of cases when you're working with people, when you're working with a chick, you don't want to get in a situation where you know, you get in trouble because it seems like, you know, she could say, oh, you're making me uncomfortable in the workplace and yada, 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 yada. You feel what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
so in the book, what I talk about is how in a lot of cases you need to be able to talk to a woman outside of the specific work environment. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for example, let's say if you were at work and you're about to go to lunch, and then you say to her, hey, you know, let's go get some lunch together. And then when you're out there getting lunch, then you sort of feel her out. You feel what I'm saying? And then
Mm-hmm.
see how she is. So you're not necessarily doing it at work on the premises, you know what I'm saying? But you have a better situation where you're sort of outside, and then also you get like a little bit more of a natural vibe from her outside than if she's actually in the workplace where all the coworkers are around and everybody's looking and all that other stuff. You feel what I mean? But in the book, you know, I describe it more of how to really, you know, make that happen and more beneficial to you. But overall, I tell guys, you know, if you're going to talk to chicks at your job, you know, you just got to be cautious with it. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily telling you not to, because I don't like to tell people what they shouldn't do. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like ironic because I'm like coaching people, but I don't want to tell you exactly what to do. I want to give you the options of what you can do, and then you choose what's best for you in the situation. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Kind of
Right.
just giving them the technique and
Right. Like it's out there.
yeah.
Kind of like I think about it almost like you know, like Robert Greene's book, The 48 Laws of Power, and all those things where he's letting you know what it is, but he's not technically telling you what to do. He's giving you the blueprint or the outline of what's out there. You feel what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
that's
okay, so you're not necessarily telling like in Robert Greene's book 48 Laws, he was saying like this is what it is, and
right.
I'm not gonna say that you're a good person or bad person for doing this.
Exactly.
That's
Right.
what
You
it is.
know. Right.
So, what is the story behind that book? How to have sex with two women a day? Like is there a story that kind of that something that you did like earlier on in your career where you created like some type of system where you saw that you know this kind of way was working that led you to kind of write this book?
Yeah, well, the thing was back in the day, when I had like a whole bunch of time on my hands, because I don't really have the same time I had when I was, you know, because I'm 35, and when I was like in my early 20s or mid 20s, you know, I was 90% of the time just, you know, hanging out with women. You understand, going on dates, you know, having sex, chilling, doing all this other stuff. So what happened was there was times where, you know, there'd be days where I would see, you know, two or three girls in a day. You know what I'm saying? And that
Mm-hmm.
was and I was just because, you know, I was putting myself out there, and, you know, as I got better at talking to women, then there would be more women around and all this other stuff. So the thing is with the book, you know, I wanted to come out with something that teaches guys how to have more options. But of course, you know, with the title, I titled it that because it's, you know, it's eye catching. And the thing is that for a lot of guys who don't have experience dealing with multiple women or just dealing with women in general, you know, that is it's you know, it's enticing to hear that and to, you know, understand that you can actually make that happen. So it's not necessarily like a system that I put together. It's more so like these are principles that if you follow it and you implement it in your game, it's going to get you to the point where you're actually going to start to see that more women are basically cooperating with you. And then the more women that are doing that, that's the more options you're going to have to date, have sex, and do a lot of other stuff, which can ultimately put you in a position, if you wanted to have sex with multiple women in one day or do whatever you got to do. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of like the, you know, the like gist of what the book is about, and it teaches you like how to do it, you know what I mean, and how to do it in a way where, you know, it's safe, how to do it in a way where you're being honest and authentic, so you don't have to, you know, go around saying some goofy type of stuff in order to make it happen, you know? So
Yeah.
definitely.
So people who read your book, you know, they come across your YouTube channel and they reach out to you and they want your help, and you start to talk to them and engage, and they start opening up and kind of telling you the type of barriers and issues that they're dealing with. Are there any common issues that you see a lot of guys are going through when it comes to, you know, meeting women and dating and becoming successful?
Yeah, I mean, what I find a lot is I notice that guys have trouble with sort of understanding what a woman is trying to convey to them. So this, so in, you know, sort of like they're trying to, they're dealing with a girl and they're like, well, you know, is she into me? Is she playing games? You know, this girl flaked on me. What should I do? This girl did this. What should I do? So it's sort of, a lot of times what I get is a lot of guys who they're sort of trying to make something happen with a girl, but they're confused by her behavior. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of times, you know, what I try to do is I try to break down what's, you know, actually happening and how women sort of communicate and respond to men in a lot of different cases. Because this is the thing that confuses men when it comes to women, is that women will do things and act in certain ways based off of just how, you know, their nature. You understand? And so a guy's going to misinterpret how she is doing things because he's looking at it as how he would do it. So he's like, well, if she's not calling me, or if she didn't call me today, that means this. Or if she's gonna you know, she's not gonna like me if I don't look good, because I don't like girls if they don't look good. So they're equating what she does to how they would do it, and then so that's what gets them to get them confused. So what I try to do is I try to break down sort of the ways that women will think and women will act and women will respond to guys in general, so that a lot of times when they see a woman act that way, or they see a woman do this or do that, they'll know, okay, wow, you know, I noticed she's doing that because of this, because I understand this about how women will interact and act with guys when they're dating them. So instead of them, you know, getting the false representation of what's going on, I try to give them, you know, tools and guidelines to look out for when they're dealing with girls, so that they can make the right moves later on down the line. You see what I mean?
What are some of the things that you kind of teach men about understanding women,
Right.
just from lots of experience that you've had with dealing with them? What are some things that guys should really know?
Well, one of the things is that, like I tell guys, you know, most of the time when women are flaky or women are, you know, acting wishy-washy, a lot of the times is because they're just not that into you. You understand what I'm saying? And I try to get guys to understand that the women who are really, really into you, a lot of times they're going to make it easy, to the point where it almost seems like it's too easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn,
Yeah.
this girl she's calling me, she's meeting me here, and everything seems cool because she's into you. You understand? So a lot of the times, what happens is that guys, they interact with so many women who are giving them the runaround. So then they think the runaround is the norm. You feel what I'm saying?
Very
So
true.
then they end up, you know, dealing with these girls that give them more of the runaround, because they feel like, oh well, this is just something I have to deal with when I'm dealing with women. But the thing is that, you know, if I tell them like, hey, look, you know, there's going to be girls that you deal with who are going to cooperate, who are going to, you know, make it easy for you. And then so now they'll search out for more of those girls. And then when they see that happen, within their own experience, they get to, you know, see that actually go down. So now they can compare and contrast. So I always tell guys, you know, you have to put yourself out there so you can get those situations where the girls are cooperating and everything, so that you have the perspective of seeing that, oh, this other girl who's been flaking, who's been acting kind of funny, is not because that's how girls act, because there were other girls who didn't act that way. You feel what I'm saying? So you just have to focus more on the girls who aren't acting, you know, like ridiculous, and then, you know, pull through. So I kind of, you know, those are one of the things that I like to teach guys and to expose, so they'll know the real deal when it comes to, like, you know, interacting with women, so they don't waste their time dealing with a girl who's not really into them, and can focus more on the women who are. You feel me? So
Do you find that women care just as much about looks as men do?
not necessarily. See, this is the thing. This is the funny part about women when it comes to looks and everything, right? Now you're gonna have women who are going to they're going to find a guy attractive. They'll be like, okay, he looks good, right? The issue is, though, is that the way that a woman responds to a guy, no matter how he looks, is different than how a man responds to a woman, depending on looks. So this is why I say it's different. So for example, if a guy sees a hot girl, and you know, he's like, I want to have sex with her, I want to, you know, hang out with her, I want to have sex with her and do all the other stuff. It doesn't matter if she's not smart, it doesn't matter if she's a bitch sometime, it doesn't matter, like, whatever, he's still going to try to hit it. Women, on the other hand, if they see a guy, they're like, oh, he's cute, and then, you know, if she's not having a good conversation with him, if he's boring, if he's being too much of an asshole, whatever it is, that could make her not want to interact with him, even though he looks good. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not that women don't find guys attractive and want a guy because of, you know, how he looks, but that's not sort of the determining factor of whether or not she's going to sleep with him or whether or not she's going to see him again. And so a lot of guys don't understand that. But also too, when it comes to looks, I always tell guys is that it's extremely subjective. So however you look, however any guy looks, there's a woman who might like the way he looks because she's into the way that he looks or his type of look. So and then you can have another guy who you think is the stereotypical good-looking guy, but she's not necessarily into his look. So it doesn't matter that he's this really quote unquote hot guy. She's not into him. So it doesn't, he's not going to get her because his look is not what attracts her. You feel what I'm saying? And so that's the thing that guys got to sort of understand, that it's a very like complex thing, but also at the end of the day, what really gets women at the end of the day is how they feel about the dude. Because even sometimes the way a guy looks might get a woman feeling a certain way because she might think, oh, he's so handsome, and that makes her feel good that she has this handsome guy that wants to do her. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it always goes back to the feelings of women. So
True. And so you kind of broke down the difference with looks. So what I'm hearing is that when it comes to men, it's very the outer appearance, the aesthetics. But when it comes to women, it's just not that simple when it comes to men. And I guess a lot of it, from what I'm getting, is when we talk about looks, we're talking about more of how a man presents himself.
Right, exactly. It's about appearance, and I talk about that too a lot. Where men, if a man, like for example, let's say if you have, let's say like a guy that women think is cute, like Channing Tatum or something, right? If you have a guy that looks like Channing Tatum with some, dirty ass sneakers on and some jeans that don't fit him, and he has like a goofy shirt on, like more women are gonna, say that an average guy looks better than him if that average guy is put together better than he is. You understand? Because a lot of it has to do with your appearance, and your appearance, as far as when it comes to attracting women, is way more important than how you naturally look as far as your face structure and all that other stuff. You understand? Because what appearance does a lot of times, it basically gives a woman a chance to assume certain things about you, and that assumption gives her the basically the thing to get her feeling a certain way about you. So let's say if you got a guy in a suit, right? And he might not be the best looking guy in the face or whatever, but he has a suit on, versus a guy that looks like Channing Tatum, but he's walking around in some, a sweatshirt, and he looks like he works at Walmart. The guy in the suit looks like he has more going for him. So by that, he's going to be more attractive in general to more women because he looks like he has more going on, which can benefit her in all these different ways. You feel what I'm saying? So women are looking at the whole package versus just, a guy looking good, because a guy looking good doesn't necessarily benefit her for what she needs on a societal basis, on a natural basis, for her survival, for her to feel good about making things happen and all this other stuff. You see what I'm saying? So women like guys with resources, and a guy's pretty face is not a resource to a woman. You understand what I'm saying?
Very, very true. I'm actually in the middle of watching a show called Vikings, and like the guys are all like really roughed up, and like a lot of these Vikings got like beautiful women and stuff like that, but they're like really rough. Some of them are like lower class guy, but they're great warriors and they're great providers. So like the women, I guess, doesn't need like a Channing Tatum guy if he can't kill an invader with an axe or something.
Exactly.
Like, completely useless to her.
Exactly. No,
what about things, because there are a lot of talk, like a lot of people say that it doesn't matter, a lot of dudes say that it does matter. Race and dating. What's your opinion on that?
Well, the thing is this, when it comes to like race, a lot of it, truthfully, for what's going to make it difficult for a lot of guys is if they make their race affected. Like if they make their race be the thing that is an issue, then it's going to be an issue. Because you got to understand something, when it comes to men and women interacting with each other, you're a man before you're a black man, a white man, an Asian guy, his whatever. You understand? And she's a woman before she's a white girl, a black girl, and all that other shit. You feel what I'm saying? So a lot of times what happens is that if you make your, the race or your ethnicity or whatever be an issue. So you might, let's say if you're an Asian dude and you're like, oh, well, that girl, she looks cute, but I don't think she's going to like Asian guys. She doesn't look like she likes Asian guys or whatever. And you're making these assumptions. And then that's the thing that stops you from actually going over there and talking to her. You feel what I'm saying? So if you just like, hey, look, I like this girl. I like that girl. I'm going to go and approach her. I'm going to talk to her and I'm going to interact with her. A lot of times what's going to happen is that you're going to, make those interactions work simply because you didn't let your race or whatever stop you. Now, the interesting part about this is that you have women who initially might say, let's say if you have a black girl who says, oh, I don't like white guys, right? Now, she's saying that because, that's just how she was brought up, or she just, feels like she doesn't like them, or she's not attracted to white guys. Then what's going to happen is that she's going to be at a party or at some place, and there's going to be some white dude who approaches her, who's confident, who's interacting with her, and then she's going to find herself feeling him. And the reason why that happens is because her natural instincts as a woman to be attracted to a man does not care about your race. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't care that you're black or white or whatever. All it knows is you got a vagina, he got a penis, and you guys are interacting, and shit is going on that naturally happens. See, a lot of times when we talk about race within itself, if we go a little deeper, is that race within itself is a social construct anyway. You understand? Like, racism and all of that is real, but it's a byproduct of the social construct, which is race. So the thing is that if you're playing into that, again, that's the thing that's going to stop you from getting what you want, because you are stopping yourself thinking, oh, well, I'm an Asian guy, I'm an Indian guy, I'm a black guy, I'm a white guy, and then this girl's not going to like me because of this. You've played into that, and that affected how you moved. You understand? And then that is the thing that's going to affect if you get the girl or not. And understand this, women, generally are followers. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, fuck yeah.
So even if a woman has said to herself, or she feels like, oh, I don't like this type of guy, I don't like this type of guy, if you approach her and you're interacting with her and she starts feeling those feelings, she's done. Or she wants you, she's into you, because again, you're a man approaching her as a woman. You understand? And all that other stuff falls by the wayside, no matter what they said, no matter what they believe, and all this other stuff. Because you could have a chick who's actually racist, and she'll still want to, really end up being with a dude, and she'll end up falling in love with him and all that other stuff. And that came from, and at the beginning, she had a lot of, racist views, and, oh, I would never date a black guy, I would never date this guy, I would never date that guy. And then she ends up, being with the dude. So, it's all about the guy making that move and making it happen, and not letting race get to you like that. You feel me?
It's just funny. I've actually been that guy who's actually dated like a racist girl, or girl who'd like never date a black guy before.
Right.
I've had friends that have dated white women, and like eventually, if you like, an argument would happen, and she'd call them the N-word.
Oh my God! See, well, and the thing is, you got to be careful though about those chicks too. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
If you're a black guy dating a white chick, and she's racist, you got to be careful. So what I mean is, so you can have women who are, like, you have women who are blatantly racist, and then you're gonna have women who are too stupid to understand they're racist. You understand what I'm saying? And so they're not even aware that they're racist. So they might say something because they've been socially conditioned to believe a certain thing, but they're not really like, oh, you effing N-word, and they're not on that vibe. But again, you still got to be careful when you're dealing with women, especially as a black guy. You got to be careful dealing with white girls who are racist. But what I was saying earlier, I was just saying that more so when you don't need to stop yourself from approaching a white girl because you assume she might be racist. You understand what I'm saying? You can figure that out as you're talking to her and interacting with her. You understand? And then you can decide, okay, am I gonna keep going with this girl or not? But the thing is, you also too got to be careful about dealing with those type of girls, because then next thing you know, let's say, you diss her, or she feels like you broke her heart or whatever, and then she want to say some crazy shit about you. You feel what I'm saying?
Calls the cops and say you beat her or something.
Exactly. Yeah. You feel what I mean? So you got to definitely be careful,
Yeah, I live in a small town, and so there's not that well. The town's starting to grow. I live in London, Ontario, Canada, and starting to expand. There's more culture here and stuff like that that's starting to happen. But that's always
Right,
been something that I kind of struggled with like race and dating
right,
a
right.
lot, like growing up. Now we all have we all know a guy growing up who was just a badass at getting women. Sometimes he isn't
Mhm.
even the best looking, or he doesn't even have like a ton of money or anything like that, but he just seems to attract them. What are these guys doing? And can any man become that type of guy?
Right. Well, the thing is a lot of times these guys, um, they've had so much practice interacting with women, um, and they've basically went through the whole like they get rejected a lot, and they kept going. They kept learning from their mistakes. They don't take stuff too personally, so the thing is when they interact with women,
Hmm.
they're a little bit more natural and more laid back with it. And what it does is that a lot of women can tell, because see, this thing, women can tell when they're dealing with a guy who has dealt with a lot of women, or who knows how to deal with women. Women can tell when they're with a guy like that. They can tell when they're with a guy who's sort of like, he doesn't get that much girls. He's kind of nervous. He doesn't really understand how to interact with women. They can tell the difference between those guys. And so what happens is that when they're in the presence of a guy who they know knows what they're about, that's more of a turn on to them. And then the cycle continues where she wants him now, and then he gets more women that makes him more confident, that makes him like a little bit more out there, and then more women want to get with him. So it's a domino effect once you put yourself in a position to learn the game, and to apply it and to keep going with it. And that's the thing that usually gets you more of the girls. See, a lot of times, like, you're gonna have guys here and there who are a little bit more natural with it, where it almost seems like they were just like born with the fucking shit. You understand what I'm saying? Where they just can like go and talk to girls, and girls just be feeling them, and but a lot of those guys, it seems or it looks easy for them, but a lot of those guys, it's easy for them because of the trial and error they went through. It's because of you don't see all the times when women didn't get with them. You feel what I'm saying? So it's a lot of that
Hmm.
type of shit that goes on.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because my dad, he's an older guy and probably in like his late 40s now,
Mhm.
and he's my whole entire life that I've known him after the divorce with my mom, he's always been like excellent at getting women. Like right now, he's like dating a girl in freaking Brazil that's like my sister's like 24, and
Right.
my dad's new girlfriend is 21, so she's
Wow.
younger than, she's younger than my little sister, and
Right.
that's just how I've always known it. But my dad has told me that that's not the way that it's always been. So do you kind of think as you get older that you kind of have more of an advantage as opposed to what most people would think, that kind of like when you're younger that you may be a little bit better? Do you think as you get older that you kind of that women would be more attracted to an older man, like most
Yeah,
women?
a lot of times women they'll be more attracted to older guys because, well, one, a lot of times the older you are, the more established you are in most cases, because you've it's been years that you've sort of been building on what you're doing, or you sort of know more about where you're trying to go in life and all these other things. And so, when you're an older guy, a lot of times these younger women, for them, it's like a huge ego boost to be able to have a guy that's older dude. Also, you're gonna have women who haven't had fathers, and they're gonna look at you as their father figure. You understand what I'm saying? So, so that
Makes
also
sense.
happens. You know what I mean? But again, but also too, if you're the type of guy who um understands himself and matures and learns from his mistakes when it comes to dealing with women, then you're going to be better as you get older. Now you're going to have certain guys who are older, who still don't understand the game. You feel what I'm saying? So those
Hmm.
are the guys who are in their late 40s, early 50s, who's still out here tricking and paying escorts and all this other stuff, because they still haven't, they didn't get it yet. You understand? Or they never really paid attention to what was going on. So, you know, you still have those guys out there. But for the most part, you know, if a guy's dealing with women and if you're, you know, doing what you got to do, as you get older, you're going to start to see that more women are going to gravitate to you, because you have the young women who are going to want you because you're that older guy. You're going to have even the women who are going to be your age who's going to want you because you're going to be more of that distinguished guy that's at their age, and they're going to want that. So you're going to have all spectrums of, you know, all age groups of these women that want to get with you. You know what I'm saying? Just because you are older and you're in that type of stage in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, okay. And I wanted to ask you, do you work with men when it comes to online dating, like kind of helping them improve their dating life through online?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Online is great, and I always tell guys, you know, but this is the thing though, with online, it's hard for a lot of dudes. It's hard for a lot of guys, you know, and the reason why it's hard is because there's so many, like, women on there are extremely picky. Like, women are more picky online than in person, than in, you know, in like just normal everyday life situations. And the reason why is because they get so much attention online. So for a guy, in order for him to really have success on an online site, is that he has to stand out. And a lot of guys, unfortunately, don't know how to stand out, which is why, you know, I have a bad boy membership program on my website, badboymembership.com, called The Easy Way to Date Online for Men, where I talk about different things that you need to do in order to increase your chances of making stuff happen online. You know what I mean?
Are you able to give us a few nuggets on what guys can do today after listening to this to
Oh
kind
yeah,
of stand out a
definitely,
little bit better online?
definitely. Well, one of the things I tell guys to do is you have to, the main thing is your pictures, especially if you're doing stuff like Tinder and you know,
Oh,
and Bumble
fuck,
and
I
all
hate
those shit. Yeah, like, so the pictures are very important, but I tell guys they got to at least have one picture that looks like, I equate it to, you ever see a actor's headshot?
it.
Like, it has to look professional. No pictures of you in the mirror, no grainy pictures of you, you know, in the back of your dirty room, none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be a picture where you are, you know, it looks pretty much professional. So I would even, you know, tell guys that they need to get professional pictures done. And if you guys are in the Florida area, because that's where my business partner is at right now, you can check out pavionphoto.com, because he does a lot of great pictures. A lot of the pictures that I have on my online sites is from him. And it's like, you know, the more professional your picture look, you have to have at least one of those, the better you're going to look. And the reason why I say it is this, is because you have to understand that when not even just with women, but this is everybody, when people are online dating, what you're basically doing is that you're marketing yourself online as a potential person that a person could want to be with.
It's like a
And
product.
right, exactly, you're like a product. And the thing is that the online thing is synonymous with what people see in magazines, what people see on online, you know, magazines and stuff like that. So you're competing with what women see online or in magazines on a subconscious level. So the thing is that if a woman is flipping through a magazine, she sees a picture of like George Clooney or Morris Chestnut or you know, any of these other dudes, and they're looking real dapper, looking professional. The picture looks crisp. You know, it looks like they you know, made the picture look as exquisite as it can. You're competing with all of that shit. You feel what I'm saying? So the thing is that this is why I'm saying your picture has to have some sort of professional or clear look, because when they're looking at you, what happens is that the same way they're fantasizing about Channing Tatum or Morris Chestnut or George Clooney in those magazines is the same thing that's going to trigger them when they see your picture in that medium, which is on the screen. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's that type of thing. You see what I mean? So that's going to grab their attention more just through that picture. Now, if you're doing you know, you know, profiles where you write stuff in. So I know like stuff like OK Cupid or Plenty of Fish.
Oh, I
You
fucking
know,
hate
yeah,
Plenty of Fish.
yeah, I hate Plenty of Fish too. But you know, those sites, they give you room to, like, you know, write certain things and everything. And you know, I tell guys, you know, keep it short, keep it sweet. Make sure you do not get too detailed. And the reason why I say don't get too detailed is because the more details you put in, the easier it's going to be for a woman to want to dismiss you. You understand? Because this is how a lot of women check out guys. Like, guys generally, and I was talking about this on another show before, when a guy looks at a woman or looks for women, guys are usually looking for women, and we're trying to look for something we do like about her. So we look on, let's say we're on online, we're like, well, she's not that pretty, but she got a nice booty and some titties, so I'll
So true.
right, you understand? A woman is looking for what she doesn't like about you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you could be on your online profile, she's like, oh yeah, his pictures look nice, and then she's like, oh, but he said that he likes to watch Tyler Perry movies, and I don't like Tyler Perry movies, so I'm not going to contact them. Like, they'll do stupid stuff like that. You understand what I'm saying?
So true.
Because, you know what I mean? So this is what I'm saying, that if you're on those sites and you're writing your profiles, you want to be able to say stuff. You want to say enough stuff where they get a sense of you, but you also want to sort of keep it vague enough to where they can't pick out too much shit to be able to nitpick at. And so the thing is, you know, also too, I always say for guys, you know, it's better to show than tell. So instead of saying, hey, I'm a really funny guy, you write something that's funny. Instead of saying you're funny, show you're funny. You understand what I'm saying? So it comes across a little bit better. And you know, and one last thing I would say is that when you're messaging women, always send a copy and paste message, the first message, if you're sending the first message. Always. I don't care what anybody else says. Send a
you have a good one?
Yes, send a copy and paste message to these women, right? And also what I would say too is that the message that you send should be a message that has some sort of question in it that she can respond to. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for example, you know, even if, let's say, something as simple as, you know, you could say something like, hey, you know, what are you up to this Friday night or something? You understand? Like, you know, that's her needing to answer something. If you just make a regular statement, she has nothing to answer, nothing to contribute to the conversation. So when you send these messages out, there should be something in your message that she needs to answer. So that's going to make it more likely that she's going to respond to you. So even if you see, let's say you're looking at a profile, you see something in a profile, you see a picture of her with her dogs or her cats or whatever, you can ask a question about that and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of questions you can ask based off of what she's putting out there. But also what you want to make sure you do is, and you got to spend some time on this, is like when I say send a copy and paste message, the message that you're sending, you have to make sure that what you're sending is somewhat unique, or somewhat something that every guy isn't sending. Because most guys are just saying, hey, how you doing? Hey, beautiful, whatever. They're not really sending shit. So if you send something that stands out, and even if it's outrageous, I say the more outrageous, the better. You understand what I'm saying? Or the more crazy, the better. Even if it sounds goofy. Goofy is better than boring. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Sure.
The thing is that you have to, so for example, I'll give you one of the lines that I would say, I usually don't use this no more anyway, but I would put, I would say something like, hey, how long do you think it's going to take for, us to get together and for you to fall in love with me? You understand? Like, the shit is so cheesy, but the thing is that that's way better than what most guys are sending. Just, hey, hi, what's up? Hey, beautiful.
That sounds confident too.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? So I'm asking her a question, and it's something like interesting and fun for her to respond to. You feel what I'm saying? So a lot of times I would get responses from women just from that type of shit. You feel what I'm saying? So it's something that they probably haven't seen, haven't heard, and that's the thing that's going to make them, come back and make it happen. But this is why I tell guys, go to badboymembership.com and get that, that audio program. You can hear that audio program, because I also teach you different ways to close the deal, get the numbers, set up the dates, and all the other stuff. You know what I mean?
Perfect. It's actually funny how you brought up how men will actually look for things that they like about women. And I'm just thinking back to a few days ago, there's one woman that worked at the store. She was all right. Like, she was, she was pretty cute, but she was a bit older than what I'd usually go for. And I'm just thinking, she's a bit older, but whatever, I'd smash and I'm
Right,
walking away.
right.
It's just
Exactly.
it's just so funny, the difference between men and women. And
Mhm.
we'll begin to wrap up now. I'm gonna ask you one more question
Right.
about this topic, then we'll go into the closing questions.
Cool.
I have a friend currently right now. He just got out of a long relationship. And what are some ways that you recommend guys dealing with a tough breakup and kind of getting back out there and going into the game?
Right. Well, if you're going through a tough breakup, what you got to understand is that there's a reason why you guys aren't together, and the thing is that if it's something petty or whatever, or if it's something serious, at the end of the day, you guys aren't together, so you just have to accept that, okay, this is what's happening. What I would say also is that what you want to do is you want to focus a lot more on yourself, and in meaning like doing a lot of different other activities that you like to do, and to basically keep yourself busy. But also, if you're going to be dealing with other women, make sure that you are just keeping it casual. You understand? Because there's a tendency for you to want to start something else up serious. You understand? Because you've been in that long-term relationship or whatever it is, and you miss that feeling of having someone there. So you want to just jump back into it. So the thing is, you don't want to jump back in too quickly, because you need time to sort of heal from that situation. You understand? Because you all that energy from that breakup and the relationship you had, you don't want to jump into another relationship too quickly. Now you can go and have sex and hook up with some girls that do that, but the thing is, you don't want to necessarily jump back into the trying to get into a serious relationship with any other chick. But also understand too is that a breakup isn't the end all be all, because actually, see, the thing is, I always tell people like this, right? In any relationship you have, right? Any relationship, all relationships that you have are going to come to an end. You understand? All of them, every last one of them. And I always say there's two things that's going to happen. Either one of two things. Either you're going to break up with the person, or they're going to break up with you, or or you and that person's going to die. You understand what I'm saying? It's really that simple.
True, true.
So a lot of times you got to look at it from that perspective of saying, well, enjoy the moments you have in that situation. I understand you're going to be sad about it. You're going to feel a certain way about it, but all that stuff is going to pass. Because if you think about a time when you were in high school, even in junior high school, you had that girl you were with, y'all were boyfriend and girlfriend or something like that. And then y'all broke up and you were probably crying in your bedroom. You thought that, you wanted to kill yourself. You thought, life is going to be over. And now you don't give a fuck about none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not thinking about that girl in ninth grade that broke your heart. You don't care about that. And it's because you've moved on. Things have gotten better. There's other things going on in your life. The same thing is going to happen again. So you just got to understand that, it is what it is now. And then you're probably going to meet someone even better than who you had before. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the thing you got to know.
It's funny. I actually I have my friend sitting here with me, and you bringing that up. We're both kind of laughing because we're both recalling a time, and the breakup question was for him actually, but we're both thinking about that time. I was dating this one girl, and it was that time when the Usher's Confession CD CD came out.
That's crazy.
And I literally sat after she ended up going off with one of my friends and dating him for like 3 years or whatever. But I actually remember after that, the whole entire weekend that no one saw me for like from Friday till Monday morning the next day at school, because I'm literally laying down in my room with the Confession CD on repeat the whole time.
That's crazy.
That's how bad it was.
No, I'll tell you, it happens, man.
I was like the 9th grade or 10th grade or something, but yeah, I don't give a fuck about her now, and I've grown a lot since. So
right. No, I feel you.
But yeah, man, we'll go into our closing questions, and these are a little bit more personal questions. I kind of like to ask my guests just to kind of give the audience just a little taste of what their personality and mind is like. So the first question is, who were two of your role models you looked up to in life, and why?
Well, one of my role models I would say was my dad, because he basically was always doing what he wanted to do and never really gave up on anything to an extent. Like as far as like, he's probably changed certain things that he was doing, but he always tried things and he always was brave enough to do it. You know what I mean? And not scared to make a mistake, not scared to look a certain way. And, he just kept going on with, his dreams and everything that he wanted to do. And so that, that right there inspired me, because it was like, just seeing that example or setting that example for me, I thought was good for me to, and I think that's partly why I'm able to do what I do now, is because of seeing that, you know what I mean? And I think another person, that was a role model, I would say was my mother also, my mother, because my mother's a probation officer. So it's interesting because this is what I learned from noticing and focusing on what she would do. Because a lot of, again, like I was saying earlier, a lot of the game that I learned was from observing. So I knew how my mother was at home, and she was like super sweet, super nice, super, just like really, and all, like just really a really cool, nice person. Now, when she was at work, because she took me to work with her a few times, and I would see her deal with the kids and the people she would deal with who was on probation, and it was a whole different like energy she had literally for that situation. You understand? But the thing was that I knew how she was overall, but I understood why she had to be the way she was in that situation. So the thing was that it was two different sort of like modes or different ways that she would express herself in certain situations. So it taught me a lot about how, you understand, the core of who you are, but also understand like how you are also going to be in different situations and how you sort of need to be in different situations to get certain things accomplished. You know what I mean? And sometimes that might even go to the point where, a lot of people want to be successful. A lot of people want to, make money and do all this other stuff and achieve their goals. And sometimes you have to mentally be a whole different person than who you think you are in order to get from point A to point B. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be able to implement that into your, into how you are. And, I learned a lot about that from sort of just viewing how she would interact in different situations and all that other stuff. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
So, yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Adaptability. That's awesome that you had that experience.
Right.
Next question. What would you do if you only had one day left to live?
Wow, man. I think if I had one day left to live, man, I would probably, I think I would make I would get on a video camera and just say everything that I feel like I need to say before I die. And it's interesting because it's funny because I could have one more day to live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, that's the interesting part about it. But the thing is that it's like I feel like wouldn't want to say everything now because I in my mind for some reason I feel like I have like at least a week or two, maybe a couple months to years to live. So I'm like, I don't want to give it all away now. But if I literally knew I had one day to live, I would get on film and just start going all out and saying what I need to say. You know what I mean? And then after that, I would just spend some time with my family and eat a whole bunch of donuts and stuff, and then I would just call it a day.
Hey, shit, might as well. Eh?
Exactly.
Awesome. And the last question is, how do you want to be remembered after you die?
Man, how do I want to be remembered? I just want people to remember, like, not necessarily me, because I don't really like, it's weird. I don't really care for people to remember me. I want people to see the work, and I hope the work helps them. That's really what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was never really like too much of a person who, like, back in the day I was, when I was sort of like asleep, where I was like, oh, I want to be famous. I want everybody to say my name. I want everybody, like all that goofy stuff. Like, back in the day I was like that to an extent. Then as I gotten older and I started to see certain things, I started to look at what really matters. And I feel like what really matters is the things that you do in this world that can help other people. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm more about,
Mm-hmm.
I want them to remember what I've said and done, and things that I put out that can actually help them, with whatever they're trying to do. So that's kind of like how I want to be remembered at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Very true, because fame and all that stuff just kind of fades
Right.
away. But
It's
when
just
you
like
help
whatever.
somebody,
Right. Exactly. They can really, that's how they really remember you, if anything. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll remember
true.
the person that taught them something or said. Because I'll just give you one thing real quick. This is guy I used to work with. This was years ago. I must have been like 20 or 21, and I remember literally we were in some place and we were talking about he didn't even say this to me. I just overheard him say it to somebody else. But this girl was talking about, oh, I'm really comfortable doing this and doing that. And he said to her, comfortability is dangerous, right?
Mm,
And so when I heard him say that, I was like, yo, that's kind of deep. And then that stuck with me
that's so true.
for a long time. And that one thing he said, you know what I'm saying? So I remembered him literally just for him saying that. You know what I mean? So, and it made me think about it over the years. And it's just like, there's so many different ways you could think about that one statement and apply it to your life and, what that means to you. You feel me? So it's just like certain things like that,
That's very deep. That's very deep. Well, Mr. Locario, it's been really real talking to you, man. And I really appreciate you coming on to the show and, chopping up game with me. And is there anything else that you kind of like to add and say before you bow out?
Yeah, thank you for having me. If you guys, have any questions, you can hit me up at mrlocario.com. Also make sure you go to badboymembership.com so you can join the membership, because in a membership you get 45 through 90-minute audio and video step-by-step dating advice tutorials every month. And I'm having a seminar called the Bad Boy Seminar, which is going to be on March 25th, 2017 in Times Square, New York City. So you can go to mrlocario.com to get information on that. You feel me?
Perfect. And are your books available on Amazon?
Yeah, so you can get How to Have Sex with Two Women a Day on Amazon. Also, you can get it at my site on mrlocario.com. But yeah, I have that book on Amazon right now on Kindle. So if you want to go on Kindle and get it on Amazon, you could go there right now and get it.
Perfect. I will leave a link to your website, to the Bad Boy Seminar, and to your book for people who are interested, man.
Definitely, I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, brother.
All right, take care, man. All right,
Yeah,
peace.
take care.